All right, back we are in the Toledo Sports Network, CW13, Norm Waymer, Mike Bauman. Our second of two in the Lake Holiday Classic. Winner of this game will take on Maumee on Saturday nights. Starting lineups for the Bryan Golden Bears, who come in at 1-4. Their one win, though, was in their conference, the NWOAL.
And now, for Lake Flyers.
In the backcourt, Zach Dean, a 5'10 senior, along with Kyle Root, a 5'11 senior. And Dalen Miley, a 6'2 junior in the front court. Dylan Lehman, 6'5 junior, and Chris Whitler, a 6'5 junior. So a couple of 6'5ers in the lineup for Bryan. For the Lake Flyers, in the backcourt, Jacob Reddick, a 6-foot sophomore. Brandon Neal, a 6-foot junior.
Brandon Neal.
And Connor Bowen, a 6-foot senior in the front court. Jared Reddick, a 6'2 senior. And Todd Walters, a 6'3 senior. Just 3 seniors, a junior and a sophomore for Lake. And we're looking at 2 seniors and 3 juniors for Bryan.
Well, as we talked about in the opening, Norm, this is a team that lost a lot of experience last year, and on top of it, their schedule thus far has not been super friendly. 4 out of the 6 teams they expect Coach Billman to be ranked in the state by the end of the season, and they faced them early on here, and they're getting another tough one tonight here in the Flyers.
So Walters will jump it up with Lehman, and the Flyers will get the basketball. In the corner, Neal for 3, no good. Rebound to the Golden Bears. And Kyle Roop at a steal. Neal. Got it into Reddick and a foul. Foul will be on Zach Dean. Lake with the basketball. We're just underway. Reddick with a jumper from the free throw line. That's Jacob, no good, and the rebound to Dean or Bryan. Dean trying to work Connor Bowen. Picked up his dribble. To Whitler and then back on out. Miley to Whitler. Forces the left-handed shot, no good. Rebound to Walters. Flyers like to run. Gold Bears will have to do a good job of getting back on defense. There's Walters with a pass on the inside, a foul. Lehman got ball, but got a little more.
Well, in this Lake team, really experienced team, Norm. As you mentioned, not the biggest team in the world, but they like to get up and down the court fast. So that plays a big role as the game goes on, just trying to keep your breath against these guys going back and forth and back and forth. But, Bryan, this was a very entertaining game last year. Kyle Roop still one of the leaders on this team, a really good scorer that you're going to see here tonight. But that's going to be a big key, is second chance opportunities and getting back in defensive transition for the Golden Bears.
And Lake making their free throws, which we've seen them have problems with before. Walters missed them both. And we're still scoreless, 6:20 to go in the first. Thrown away. Quickly down to Jared Reddick. Couldn't get it to go. He'll go to the line.
Well, that time, Bryan, a lot of guys really far away from the sidelines, the inbounds pass on the sidelines, and just making it difficult. And when you have an athletic kid like Mr. Reddick right there, to be able to stand there and go up coast to coast the way he does, you got to come meet the pass.
And Reddick misses his first, so the Flyers are 0 for 3 from the line. Jared Reddick, 6'2 senior. will be playing his football at Findlay University of Findlay next year. Missed both of them, but Reddick gets the rebound. That shot missed. Lehman with the rebound. Flyers have left 4 points on the board here in the early going. Almost a steal by Walters, and it is a steal as Reddick scoops it up and puts it in.
Jared Reddick from Pat Walters.
Yeah, so far great ball pressure on the perimeter. Lake picking up full court, operating out of the trap and making it real difficult for these guards to get the offense set.
Long three-pointer by Roop, no good. Offensive rebound, the left hand up and in. Dylan Lehman.
Dylan Lehman.
Tied at 2, 5:18 to go in the first. Walters the inside. Off the window and goal.
Jared Reddick.
And there's that transition game. You see how quickly Todd Walters gets his position established on the low block. And Bryan didn't have time to recover.
Well, a good hustle by Walters, but could not keep it in. (4-2 Lake, 5:01 to go in the first. Zach Dean with the basketball. Lehman and back on out. Another long three from Roop. Off the mark. Lehman, his fourth rebound. Medium range jumper, that time no good by Roop. Counter Bowen, look at that move.
A little Euro step there from the young fella. I like it. A la D. Wade.
6-2 Flyers. Dean bounces the inside to the basket, rolls around, no good. Offensive board. Miley couldn't get it to go, but he'll go to the line. Walters with the foul.
And I like the cut by Miley that time. Getting in the paint, trying to get a couple of easy buckets here. The jumper's not falling so far for Bryan.
First one good for Dalen Miley. 6'2 junior.
James Alvarez in for Bryan.
You see Whitler and Dean. Exiting.
Brandon Dean.
Jaden Valderez in. Missed free throw. Lehman with his 5th rebound.
They're certainly getting the second chance opportunities thanks in large part to that young fellow tonight.
Baseline J too long. Rebound Connor Bowen. Jared Reddick to the hole, no, and a whistle.
It's a bit of a late whistle, but you see the size and the athleticism of Jared Reddick going right around the first defender and getting into the paint. And that's something he has the ability to do very well, is his body control when he gets to the paint too, Norm.
Brandon Dean with the foul. First one good. 7-3 Flyers, 3:58 to go in the first. And Jared Reddick makes them both. Had numbers. No good by Lehman, but he drew the foul.
It's a good bounce pass that time. A lot of times the guys will go for a chest pass, and in that close proximity, close to the hoop, I like keeping the ball on the floor like that, not allowing Lake's active hands to disrupt the passing lane. Real good job by the Bryan Golden Bears that time to move the ball up the floor.
Lehman's got to go up strong and get the and one. And he missed the first free throw.
Well, what's interesting about Bryan, too, getting a chance to talk to Doug and Eric, the JV coach, before the game. They've been together for 9 years out there. They're Division II, so they faced a tough Defiance team who is undefeated right now. As I mentioned, they fully expect 4 of their first 6 opponents to be state-ranked teams early in the year, including the Flyers tonight.
8-4 Lake. To Walters inside, up and in.
And a lot of that is thanks in large part to Bowen. Not only a good look there, but he commands so much attention, Norm, because of what he can do with the ball in his hands and how fast he is. But that time he shows you his court vision. He finds Walters down low.
It just shows you that Bowen can do more things than just shoot. That no good, out of bounds. They'll give it back to Bryan. Ball on the floor. Look who's got it. Connor Bowen. Now it's tied up. Possession arrow will favor Bryan.
Well, and you saw that time on the dribble penetration by Bryan. 3 Lake defenders sitting there waiting. And I think that's one thing that gets lost in the shuffle when you talk about the Flyers is how good their team defense is.
Group lost the handle. Jacob Reddick to Connor Bowen, up and in.
Connor Bowen from Jacob Reddick.
And we're going to get a Golden Bears timeout with 2:57 to go in the first and a 12-4 Lake lead.
Pub 51 is just a great neighborhood bar and grill. They're about as close to being all things to all people as I've seen. They have a miniature bowling league, and they take that pretty darn seriously. Oh, and a dartball league, and a cornhole league, and a pool league. They have a lot of leagues. Pub 51 has a big outdoor patio, too. Their pizza and food are reasonably priced, too. Give Pub 51 a try. They're on Woodville Road, just a half-mile east of the Woodville Mall.
There's nothing better than a great deli sandwich. 12-4 Lake with the lead. Group with the basketball. Valderez. Trying to shoot that ball inside. Walter's got a hand on it. It's stolen away. Bowen. Oh, they're going to call travel on Reddick. That's the first Lake turnover. They don't even blink at that in the NBA.
Yeah, there's a lot more dribbling action that goes on.
He would have had another step or two before they called it the NBA.
Was 2 kind of became 3, and 3 kind of became 4 over the years.
That one put up by Lehman, no good. Shot, no. Rebound, Run down. Valdez. Nice little chip away by Jacob Reddick. To the basket. Up and in.
Jacob Reddick.
Jared Reddick with the chip away. Jacob Reddick with the basket. Jacob's his younger brother, a sophomore.
Well, there's that team defense that we're talking about. You get by one defender with Lake, and you got to worry about another guy coming in and knocking the ball away.
And another steal. This is Jared Reddick. To the basket and in.
Jared Reddick.
That pressure defense. 16-4 Lake.
A tall task for a team that's lost a lot of experience, but this is where you got to come up and help at half court.
Somebody's got to come back and help Valdez, and they didn't. This is Jacob Reddick up
Jacob
and in.
Reddick.
This is turning into a layup drill. 18-4 Lake. 1:05 to go in the first. Valdez will get it across to Miley. Long three off the mark. Neal with the rebound. Roop hasn't connected with one of those from downtown yet. Behind the back from Bowen. To Reddick to Bowen. Into the corner. Neal for three. Got it.
Brandon Neal for three.
Flyers might have been a little sluggish out of the gates, but they have picked it up big time here in the last couple of minutes.
7 turnovers they forced defensively, and it's leading to easy buckets in transition on offense. And they've got the Bryan guards flustered a little bit. We've seen them get a couple of chances down low with the big fella, with Lehman. But eventually it goes without saying, Norm, you got to start cashing some of those bunnies on the inside, because opportunities against this Lake defense are at a premium with the way they attack the basketball.
And layups have a pretty good field goal percentage to them.
Yes, they do.
21-4 Lake. That defense really coming out high trying to trap.
Most of the action has been from the free throw line up.
And a steal by Bowen. Got it ahead to Reddick, and he's clobbered from behind.
Fouls on Brandon Dean at the line shooting 2 is Jared Reddick.
You can make a pretty good case for that being a breakaway foul.
Yeah, Brandon Dean just giving him a hip check there. And it's always a little scary when you get a guy right at their center of gravity like that in midair, because there's nowhere to go. You know, it's floor. That's it.
Yeah. In and out. And that's going to end the quarter. Lake 22 and Bryan 4 will be back for the second on the Toledo Sports Network and CW 13.
The Big Apple Deli has all the food for your next party or get-together. The best subs, salads, soups, pasta, party trays, and great lunch and dinner specials. The Big Apple Deli, 2118 Woodville Road, has got you ready for all your party needs, or just stop out for a great lunch.
Second quarter about ready to get going here at the Toledo Sports Network, CW 13. Norm Waver, Mike Bauman. Maumee, your winner in game number 1 with a big fourth quarter to knock off Cardinal Stritch, 39-26. For the Lake Flyers, 22 first quarter points as they forced 8 turnovers. And you can count that defensive pressure for most all of them, if not all of them.
Well, and you look at, if you're Bryan, and we've seen this before, we saw it against Eastwood, just because you get by one defender with Lake does not mean you're free. You got to watch out for those guys coming in and knocking the ball away, and they've had 3 or 4 steals tonight where they've knocked it out from behind.
Three-pointer, no good by Jacob Reddick. Dean just going to put the shot up, no good. Connor Bowen with the board. Spin move, Bowen to the hole, couldn't get it to go. Knocked back out to Drayton Williams. Number 15, 6'1" junior is into the game. Saw Adam Duncan in the corner, but Duncan lost the handle. Dean double teamed. Gonna get some help. Alvarez, jumper no good. Long rebound, he'll get his own board. That's off the Flyers.
And you look at just the movement that Bryan has to have just to try to get some breathing room. I mean, you're expending a lot of energy, just lateral movement with these guards.
And they said that Kyle Roop stepped on the sideline. That one is an unforced turnover.
We saw, the size of Maumee start to wear down Cardinal Stretch, especially Austin Adams down the stretch, just really taking him off his game offensively. And you're seeing right now the team defense of the Flyers, for only having two guys that go about 6'1", 6'2", it really doesn't matter because they communicate so well effectively and they're paying attention to their guys when they don't have the ball.
Jared Reddick for three, and from the corner, no good. Whitler with the rebound. As Bryan went to the 1-3-1 zone. The pass went off the leg of Brandon Neal. So Bryan will retain. Into Whitler. Try to get back into Whitler, and it got chipped away.
Brandon Neal, Todd Walters, return for Lake.
So the ball will go back to Bryan. Too long of a pass. Connor Bowen saw it a mile away, picked it off, and will lay it in.
10 turnovers now, and most of Lake's points coming off of those turnovers in transition.
And almost another one.
That's a really hard pass to make against this defense when you're trying to go sideline to sideline across court. I mean, It's just there's just too many hands in there.
Your passes against this type of defense need to be more vertical. Not to mention there's a number of players out there that play in the defensive secondary on the football team. And another steal by Bowen. Double clutch up and in.
Wow. And that was one thing we've talked about before watching this Lake team. Not only the athleticism, but the body control that Jared Reddick and Connor Bowen especially have when they come into the paint. I mean, that is a very difficult shot to make when you double clutch and scoop it on the other side of the basket from where you took off at. It's a very hard shot to make, especially at this level. You don't see too many guys be able to pull it off, but Connor Bowen has that ability.
The discussion with Connor Bowen is where will he go play basketball next year?
Well, it's an interesting one because the kid's got the ability.
Bowen to the basket with the left hand in. Well, he's going to be playing somewhere on Saturdays next year.
Well, one guy that we talked about a little bit earlier was Mr. Lehman from Central Catholic, who found a good role at Ferris State.
That's going to be a foul on Jared Reddick. I'm a big believer, too, of playing a division down from where maybe you could play. And it's not to say that Bowen couldn't play D1, but I'm not sure he'll get the offer because he's 6 foot. And they're looking for them guards now. They're looking 6'2", 3, 4, 5.
Well, and there's some things,
unless you're a point guard, and then that's a little bit of a different story.
And there's some things you just can't coach. And one thing about Connor is he does have a good basketball IQ. He reads the floor very well, knows where to be offensively and defensively. And those are intangibles that at 17, 18 years old, he lets the game come to him.
But he would be a really, really good D2 or D3 player. To the basket. Walters. And we're going to get another Bryan timeout with 4:25 to go in the second. 30-4, Lake with the lead.
And this is really just a case, Norm, of a well-oiled machine in the Flyers, an experienced basketball team, guys who have been playing together for a while, going against an inexperienced Bryan team that, while well-coached, has lost a lot of numbers from last year. And this is not an easy game, especially coming off of playing an undefeated Defiance team. Now you come into Millbury tonight and you have to face this Lake team. That's a very tall task for a young team that's still trying to get their sea legs underneath them. I want to say thanks again to some of our great sponsors. SPL Outfitters, one of the new ones this year. We appreciate them. They're over on the Navarre Plaza next to BW3's. Great clothing for all you hard workers out there.
And just to finish up that thought, and Lehman playing for Ferris State and had a terrific career at Central Catholic. Little undersized. Ends up going to Ferris State. Had dropped 29 on Bowling Green.
In a victory.
Recently, yeah, in a victory. And, he's going to get to play all the time, and he's going to contribute. He's going to more than contribute. And that's, it's not a bad level to be at. It just isn't.
Well, especially basketball, a lot of it is about fit. What your skill set is combined with your athletic ability and your size and what program you end up at. And in Lehman's case, it was a perfect fit. And I think you'll see that with Connor Bowen, too.
Shot up, no good. Jared Reddick with the rebound. And miscommunication.
And one thing I'll say about Bowen, too, is while he doesn't necessarily have those extra 2-3 inches that you'd like to see from a guy who's going to be going to the D1 level, he does have the size. I mean, he's not a skinny guy. I mean, he looks like he goes about $180, $190, which is a good weight for a point guard at the Division I level if you are 6 foot 6'1". There's some guys who are 6'5" at the D1 level who stay out on the perimeter who are $190. So he can take the physical pounding. The question is, I think people are going to think, can he size-wise contend with some guys who are bigger? I think he's proven it, but once again, it's a matter of the scholarship numbers and who's going to give him that opportunity.
To the left hand, Dylan Lehman. That's a nice post move.
Nice reverse.
30-6. Lake. You can make some comparison, I think, Connor Bowen to Jordan Loff. But the difference was Loff is 6'4".
Right.
And Bowen's 6 foot. Skill-wise, I think you can make some really good comparisons. Lost a handle on that one. So, do you want to try to maybe play D1, but Roop with a long three, no good. Dean had the offensive board and got it taken away. Reddick to Neal, around to Bowen. Bowen into the paint, back out to Neal, open three, no good. That hit off a Golden Bear, and Lake will get it back.
Well, the name that was brought up to us earlier today was Juice Brown from Toledo, who's 5'11". But Juice is also extremely fast.
But he's a point guard.
And he's a point guard.
Bowen for three. Back of the rim, no good. Rebound Lehman.
And unfortunately for Roop, it's just not falling tonight.
Inside, no, drew the foul. Dylan Lehman will go to the line.
But I like Roop continuing to be in attack mode. The first game we did earlier today, number 13, it was Galperno for Maumee, who just continued to shoot, continued to get his looks, and he had a big fourth quarter. So for Roop, eventually those shots will start to fall. But I like getting the big man involved here.
Well, Lehman, who's at Ferris State and was at Central Catholic, it's probably a pretty good comparison too.
Yeah.
To Bowen, although I think Bowen may have been a little more advanced offensively. You're probably splitting hairs on that. But that's probably a good comparison, too. They're both roughly the same size. Offensive board and the missed free throw. And a steal. Bowen got it.
12 already.
Mike Jameson wrote down Aaron Kraft, and I don't think there's a comparison there at all. I got to disagree with you on that one.
Well, I may be a young buck, but I've certainly watched a lot of basketball in my short time.
Well, Kraft's a point guard again, and Bowen's not a point guard.
But I think he can play that at the next level. I do.
I hate shoehorning two guards into the point guard position. Hate it with a passion. Look at the Pistons. Well, that's a perfect. Oh, nice move. Look at that, but missed the shot. Lehman got the rebound, put it up. He missed the shot. And Bowen with the board.
Well, when you look at this team, though, the offense runs through him. He handles the ball well, and he's averaging around 8 assists this year. I mean, so with scorers around him, even though he's a great scorer, he can pass the basketball.
I don't want to give that impression that I don't think he can. But I don't think he's your prototypical point guard. That doesn't mean he can't. There's a lot of two guards that can give you, 4, 5, 6 assists a game. And there's Bowen to the basket. The left hand, he's got 14.
And that's a good crossover right there. A nice, simple crossover that we've seen a couple times from him this game. Getting into the teeth of the defense and finishing in the paint.
Well, Aaron Kraft could score at the high school level, but he sure couldn't score at the college level.
You got to remember, Mike.
Mike's over my shoulder going, Aaron Kraft right there. Aaron Kraft.
Mike's a Buckeye guy, though, too. He is. He's a Buckeye guy.
Close the door.
And you?
Ask him.
I am, actually.
Nice take.
Missed the shot. Neal with the rebound.
And that's hurting Bryan right now. Despite all the turnovers and the defensive pressure, they've gotten 9 or 10 good looks inside and haven't been able to hit those little bunnies.
Haven't been able to finish, yeah. Jacob Reddick lost the handle. Three-pointer, no good. Bowen board. Gonna put up a half quarter. Nope. And we're at halftime. I think we'll have time to continue that discussion. 34-7. Lake will take that lead into halftime. We'll take a timeout and come back on the Toledo Sports Network and CW13.
Golf Academies and Technologies and Pro Golf Fairways, Toledo's #1 stop for all your golf equipment needs. Instruction with licensed PGA and LPGA Tour instructor Jeff Menor, and the best golf simulators in the area. Located right next to Nick and Jimmy's on Monroe Street, custom club fitting with name brand clubs and professional loft and lie capability. Now, you can play in 18 holes on our Pro Golf Fairways with over 80 courses throughout the world with our state-of-the-art golf simulator systems. Call us at 419-205-6644.
Do your utility bills have you down? Get out from under those heavy bills with new windows from Dunright Building Services. New windows from Dunright can change the vision of your home both inside and out. And right now, for a limited time only, you can get any white double-hung standard window for only $179 each. Remember, for a job done right, you better call Dunright.
New home, same address. It starts with new windows. Call us at Dunright Building Services today.
Back we are in the Toledo Sports Network, CW13. Norm Weaver, Mike Bauman. As we get ready for the second half, the third quarter, whatever you want to call it. 34-7, Lake with the lead over Bryan. 22-4 first quarter. Got the Flyers rolling. Give you some halftime numbers here when I get a second. And a foul. Lake 15 of 24 in the first half, 62.5%. Bryan 2 of 21 from the field, 9.5%. You don't have to go too much farther than that.
Well, and couple that with 13 turnovers by my count in the first half, and
I had 15.
so we were close.
And Lake with 7. The offensive boards, Bryan out-rebounded Lake on the offensive boards 9-1, but they couldn't convert.
Yeah, you know, a lot of inside opportunities from Lehman especially. Got some looks down there in the second quarter, got to the line a couple of times, but, you know, when you're turning the ball over at the clip they are, you got to hit those easy bunnies, and eventually that does take a toll on you as the game wears on. When you miss those ones from chip shot range, you got to start knocking those down.
Bryan was 3 of 6 from the line, Lake 3 of 8 from the line. Spin move, Bowen to the hole, no. Long rebound comes out to Neal. Reddick, Jacob no good. Walters with a board. Scoop shot it in. Jacob Reddick.
Nice move from the young buck. Gave him the opportunity again, decided to take it and get a high percentage shot.
The runner is no good. Bowen will throw it out to Jared Reddick, who will lay it softly in.
I mean, they've had to have at least 15 layups in this one by now. I mean, it's the high percentage shots that they're getting in transition are coming at a premium right now.
They have 17 field goals. That would be a pretty high percentage.
Well, it's a tough one for Bryan right now because these guys are a very well-coached team. As you mentioned, Coach Billman, this is his 9th year out there. Very talented team last year. Guys that played football and basketball, and they lost a lot of talent in that senior class.
Jacob Reddick is checking out. He's the younger of the Reddick brothers, and that's got that big brace on his left knee. Toward the basket. Nice runner up and in by Dalen Miley.
Good ball movement that time by the Golden Bears. And that's something that really impressed me last year when we saw this game was just the spacing offensively. Bryan had a couple shooters on the outside that really did well. But Lake's defense has just been swarming tonight.
Jared Reddick with the turnaround, no good. Miley the rebound. High pass brought down by Miley. Inside, no. Lehman couldn't get it to go. They'll go to the line for a pair. And once again, couldn't get the and one.
Well, and the ability is there for him, especially a couple of times he's gone to the drop step tonight. And with his height and his long arms, I mean, if he can get that down, he can be a real force. And these guys, for the rough start at 1-4, they are 1-0 in conference play with the win over Liberty Center in the NWOAL. And as I mentioned earlier, the Division II level, but a small Division II, so they're going to run into some tough competition like they've already faced with Defiance, who is 5-0 right now, if my memory serves me correctly.
That wouldn't surprise me. Kirk Lehman's teams usually are something at 0.
You got Ottawa Glandorf over there that way. I believe they played them this year. They're always tough.
Oh, that's some real good basketball, no question. Connor Bowen with a turnaround. He's got 16. You never see Aaron Kraft with the turnaround, John.
Nice take, but once again, can't cash it.
At the offensive board, we'll go to the line. It's Kyle Roop.
A lot more activity from the Golden Bears thus far in the third quarter, especially attacking the basket. And that was something that they really struggled with in the first half, Norm, because of Lake's defense. Most of the time that they spent in the first half was from the free throw line, between the free throw line and the half court when they got it over the timeline. Doing a good job of being aggressive this quarter.
Two things, though, for the Flyers is going to be really important for them, especially when March hits, is can you score when you don't get the easy baskets? And bigger yet, can you hit your free throws? And that free throw shooting is something that in a couple times I've seen them now that they really struggle at sometimes. And when you get into the tournaments and you can't hit your free throws, it always gets you. Always gets you.
Well, and it's for their style of play, being up-tempo, most playoff situation basketball level, it slows down. You get tougher defense. It kind of becomes a little bit more half-court situation, and when you get those opportunities in the paint,
Bowen, got it.
Got to knock them down. But they do finish well. That's one thing about Lake is they get to the hoop, they usually finish. You don't see them miss too many layups.
I'm just saying when you want to where you want to get to, those are some of the things that you still have to do.
Absolutely.
Now it's only December, so they got plenty of time to get better at it. But you know when you get in March, and points are hard to come by, and teams get really good. When you leave points up there on the board that you could have had, it will get you somewhere along the line. Long three-pointer, Roop, no good.
Yeah, unfortunately for that young fella, just hasn't been there tonight. Had 13 in that loss to Defiance and has had some looks tonight, but sometimes you have nights like that where it's just cold. But once again, basketball is a game of runs. You'll have 5 or 6 in a row. You'll have 3 or 4 misses in a row, and shooters keep shooting. If you believe in yourself, you got to keep taking those shots. But the activity in the paint, I'm really impressed with the Golden Bears thus far in the third quarter because it wasn't there in the first half, largely due to the defense, the perimeter defense, and the active hands of the Flyers.
Bowen? No. Nice save out to Drayton Williams.
It's going to be fun in the NBC, too, having a guy like Drayton Williams. Last year, it was pretty much Todd Walters was the one main guy in the middle for those guys, Norm. And we've seen Rossford, the size that they have this year, despite losing some of the talented guards, what kind of factor he'll play in.
Look at that. Nice pass to Adam Duncan with the reverse. 44-13 to Lake, 3:14 to go in the third. Yeah, you mentioned Rossford, and boy, I want to be front and center when Lake and Rossford play each other.
Sorry, Aaron Kraft is doing that game.
Foul on Drayton Williams.
One great thing about working...
Where is Aaron Kraft playing right now anyway, Mike? Somewhere, yeah, well...
Well,
you could be playing somewhere too. I mean, that doesn't that doesn't mean anything either.
Good thing is he comes from a good family and he's very intelligent. So, if basketball doesn't work out for the young fella at the professional level, it's okay because he's incredibly intelligent. I believe wants to be a doctor. So, I mean, he'll be okay. He'll be all right.
Yeah, I think he's going to get through life all right. I'm not doubting that. I just don't see the match in styles. I just don't see it.
For me, it's hard to really compare him to anybody locally. Over the last couple of years, I'd really have to really think about that because a lot of the guys that I've seen at his size at the high school level.
There's a nice dish inside to Jared Reddick. Give the assist to Bowen.
They were either really supreme scorers or supreme passers, and he's got both, in my opinion. I think back to St. John's when they had Brian Roberts and Zach Hillsland and B.J. Raymond. Yeah. Roberts
Brian Roberts is in the NBA.
Right. But
I don't think Connor Bowen's going to get to the NBA.
I will say though, with Roberts, he defied the odds a little bit. He was only 6'1", 6'2", had a great career at Dayton, was a great scorer. Wasn't the fastest guy, and even in the NBA, he's not the fastest guy, but an excellent passer, and really, over the years, developed a good outside shot, which he didn't showcase too much at St. John's because he had the big fellas down low. So I'm not saying Connor Bowen's Bryan Roberts, but from a size perspective, if that is the biggest knock on Connor Bowen is his height, there have been guys who have been able to overcome it.
I'm not trying to knock Connor Bowen, who just fired the three no good.
Oh, I'm not saying you are, but I think from the Division I level, that will be the knock on him. Is he tall enough to compete? Is he athletic enough to play defense at the point guard position at the D1 level? Those are going to be the things that people are gonna ask.
I am not knocking Connor Bowen by any stretch of the imagination for anybody that's watching.
But I am with you though that I don't necessarily see the comparison with Aaron Kraft because
he
I think
does not fit the mold of what Division I college coaches are looking for in their guards. That's all I'm saying. Now that doesn't mean that he can't defy the odds. All I'm saying is if he goes to Division II, he's going to play. He's going to play all the time, and he's going to be a really, really good player.
Yeah.
At the Division I level, he's going to fight for playing time.
Yeah.
Can he be an elite defender?
Jared Reddick.
I'm with you on I don't see the comparison to Aaron Kraft.
Bryan Roberts was a very good defensive player too.
Yeah.
Which helped him get to the NBA. Bryan Roberts was, here's the other thing too when you're comparing players against great competition.
Yeah.
Great competition. And that's not Connor Bowen's fault.
Right.
That he's in the Northern Buckeye Conference. That's not his fault by any stretch of the imagination. But at the same time, it's much easier for scouts and college coaches to look at a Bryan Roberts against elite competition and say he can play.
Right. And you had some good guards.
If Connor
back then.
Bowen was in the track and playing really good competition every night, you'd get a much clearer picture of what he could do, and maybe he would step to that forefront. That's a tall task to ask. And I'm not saying he can't do it. We just don't know.
Right.
Because we won't see it.
Unless Lake can get to that level this year in the playoffs.
The one thing about Ed Heinzel in St. John's is that he always would play the toughest schedule he could find. Mm-hmm. He would always play the Cleveland St. Ignatius and the Cincinnati Molars and the really good, top-notch, basketball programs in the state of Ohio. Not only that, we went down to Fort Myers when they played in the big tournament down there and did a couple of games down there where there were guys like Glenn Davis and some others that they tangled again. There were so many good teams. Larry Bird was in the gym. There's all these NBA scouts that were in the gym. And Bowen, and it's not his fault, won't get the opportunity to play against guys like that.
Nice pass.
Couldn't finish, though. The offensive rebound by Dean and a foul.
Fouls on Nathan Permar.
I'm a big boxing guy, and there's a heavyweight title fight coming up with Deontay Wilder, and you probably hadn't heard of him. He's undefeated, and every win is by knockout, but it's against not very good competition. And you don't know how good he's going to be. Might be really, really good. We're going to find out in January.
Right.
When he takes on Stavern for the WBC heavyweight title. But I'm a big believer. I'd like to see him go D2 just because I know he's gonna play. He probably will play right away, and he will probably have a really good career.
Yeah.
Nathan Permar.
And time will tell.
Nathan Permar with the basket off the bench.
Oh! Look at that.
Yep, count it for 3.
Kyle Roop, no less, has had some trouble tonight, but he hit that one. Shooters keep shooting.
All right, at the end of the third, it's Lake 48 and Bryan 18 on the Toledo Sports Network and CW 13.
Live and in color.
No, we're doing it.
And Connor Bowen going to the free throw line. Bowen now at 19.
Spencer Little and Jimmy Urias reporting for Lake.
Bowen's a terrific player. There's no question about that.
Well, one thing I've always been impressed about him the most is his poise and his ability to let the game come to him. When we did the Eastwood game, he had a slow start offensively, and then he rallied off 9 in a row. He found a way to step up when his team needed him, help weather the storm, and that's a sign of a really good leader and a guy who can keep his cool. Even when he's not getting his buckets, he finds other ways to impact the game and finds a way to ultimately be able to take over the game.
Let's get some of these players mentioned here. Jimmy Urias into the game, 6'3" sophomore for Lake. Let's see here. Nathan Permar, 6'3" junior. Spencer Little, 5'6" junior. And Zach Ellison, a 5'9" sophomore. Roop with the first free throw and then makes the second. He's got 7. 52-20 Lake.
Well, and you hope if you're Coach Billman for Bryan, and that was something I asked him about, is, you know, when you have that
There's
type
an
of
offensive board to put back by Jimmy Urias.
have that
Urias, okay.
type of tough competition early in the year, that it translates into your guys being ready for conference play. And time will tell with a young team in the NWLAL.
There's a hope for Brandon Dean. Jimmy Urias, I apologize. That put back for the Flyers. 54-22 Lake. And a steal. Got too far in underneath. Permar with the rebound. Three-pointer, Permar, no good. Follow-up, no good by Ellison, and that will go over to Bryan.
You know, good move, too, by Coach Bowen not to, keep pouring it on here. Comfortable lead. You get a chance for some of these young bucks who work hard and practice every day, getting the starters ready for the regular season's game to get some minutes. Because you never know what happens over the course of the season. You know, and it's good experience for these young fellas to come out here and get a chance to get some game action.
Shot no good. Rebound Flyers and Permar. Well, you got Reddick, Walters, and Bowen, all seniors. Long three, too hard. Rebound comes out to Jacob Reddick. That'll go over.
Andrew Abbey reports in for the Flyers.
I want to say thanks again to some of our sponsors, IBEW Local Lake, also UA50 to Pipefitters and Plumbers, been with us a long time. Big Apple Deli, Pub 51, and SPL Outfitters. And if you got a wedding coming up or a party and you need a good DJ, don't forget about Mike Jameson and Creative Video, Imagery, and Sound. Give him a call at 419-514-1302.
Brandon Dean with the basket, 54-24 Lake. Just under 5 to go and a steal. Rupp gave it up, got it back, fires a three, no good. Out of bounds, it'll go over to the Flyers.
So I want to mention PCW Wrestling with Norm Waymer.
Oh, not with me.
Come on.
I'm just hosting the TV show.
Well, you're hosting the show. We know you're unofficially retired from the ring?
No, I am retired from the ring.
And what's the website?
Andrew Abbey tried to get the rebound, but couldn't save it. PCWexcitement.com.
Reports in for Bryan.
And find out everything. Or just stick around for just a little bit. I'll come your way at 11 o'clock tonight. This one's not dull. None of them have been dull. You will. I'm told you will see the Mod Father this week. It's a nice little jumper.
Zach Dean on the goal.
Dean with his first field goal of the night.
One of the Dean brothers. You know, and it's always a sign of a well-coached team too when despite the scoreboard, the guys are out there still competing. And you know, it's tough when you lose that much experience the next year. No matter how well prepared your guys are, you're going to have games like this where you run into teams who are just more experienced and have more, you know, upperclassmen.
Three-pointer got it. Zach Ellison. That's a bad matchup for Bryan. They're gonna win some games, but it's just a bad matchup. Bryan's going to do better against slower tempo teams. Teams with a quicker tempo, they're probably going to struggle against. A little too far underneath. Lehman with the long arms gets the rebound. Nice little leaner.
Jay Valderas.
Valderas with the basket. 57-28.
I like that young fella's handle too. You know, he's faced a lot of double teams tonight in the half-court trap situation with Lake's defense, and for the most part has done a pretty good job.
Look at that, three-pointer, good. Spencer Little.
Assist by Nathan Furlong.
It was not an easy shot.
Not with the guy getting their hand in your face, but that's something they practice, I'm sure, too. Close-out drill.
Because he had the ball, he caught the ball down below his waist.
Want to remind people, too, you can follow us on Twitter at Toledo Sports NW. We give you score updates, let you know where we're at that week. Also, our radio show every Saturday morning at 8 a.m. on 106.5 The Ticket. Out at Pro Golf Fairways, right next to Nick and Jimmy's on Monroe Street across from Franklin Park Mall. Stop out, say hi, shoot the breeze with us, get a free lesson from a golf pro. You can't beat it. Then go get a nice cheap breakfast, egg war special. I think it's $1.99, $2.99. We'll say hi to you. We'll be friendly to you.
I wouldn't say cheap. I would say economical.
Economical.
Food's very good.
Cheap meaning inexpensive.
Some words we don't use.
Cheap meaning inexpensive.
That would have been inexpensive. Would have been better.
It would have been better. It would.
How about that for a three? That's off the mark. Abby may have pushed off, or Urias had pushed off.
Fouls on Ethan Retcher.
Nope.
For the Bears.
It's on Ethan Retcher. Thought maybe Urias had pushed off a little bit. Two and a half to go.
Foul Brandon Dean.
Foul will go on Brandon Dean, his fourth.
Whoops, a daisy.
Not sure what happened there.
Little hiccup.
We'll pass it in again.
It was Christmas recently.
I'm told. I got some coal. That's why I wondered.
Nice pass.
Urias got too far under, though. The rebound of Josh Jones. He's into the game. John Garza, 5'10 freshman, number 23, is in. Baseline jumper, no. And they're letting him play until that.
Until you said that.
Well, they did let one or two things go on that play.
I'll say thanks again to the First Federal Bank. Can help you out with all of your financial needs here in Northwest Ohio at First Federal Bank. We really appreciate their support. And it's going to be fun, Norm, as we get into conference play here. Obviously, we're doing a lot of NBC games here on Toledo Sports Network, and gotten a chance to see a couple of these teams already. Eastwood, Lake, Rossford. I think it's going to be a competitive league. A lot of good playmakers.
You know, when you mentioned that St. John's team, they had Bryan Roberts, who went to Dayton and is now in the NBA. Had Zach Hillsland, who went to Notre Dame. And had B.J. Raymond, who went to Xavier.
And has had a pretty good career overseas as well.
That's about as good a group as you're going to see come through. And that trip to Fort Myers for that tournament, that was a lot of fun.
I remember Big Baby. I remember that at the time, him being one of the stars down there. Now with the LA Clippers. And still Big Baby.
To see some of the athletes that were down there at that time. I'd like to go back and look at the box scores just to see who else was there that I don't remember. Because I know there were a couple other NBA players there. It's a nice steal. By Allison. And drew the foul.
Well, 2004 in general for the high school class was a very good class. I think that was the NBA record for high school draft picks that year.
Oh, there were all kinds of NBA execs in that building too, and I remember Larry Bird being there. The other thing I remember about that trip too, it was a case of the show must go on. The three-pointer no good. How about that for a rebound inside and a basket by 5'6" Spencer Little?
That brought a smile to Coach Bowen's face.
It was a case that the show must go on. We had our phone line ordered and everything. It was supposed to be all set up. And when we got down there and we tried to call, it wouldn't dial out long distance. And we tried to call into it, and it went through a switchboard. So here we are, we're all the way down at Fort Myers with no phone line whatsoever and no way to get it because the guy who was the tech person for the school was not there for the weekend.
Ouch.
He had a family emergency and was gone out of state. So, honest to God, as I did those games with Tim Smith, we each got our cell phones, which, you're talking 10 years ago cell phones, not
right.
like today's cell phones. And I think the first night we kind of passed it back and forth. And then the second night we both made sure that they were both charged and used our own. And had both cell phones patched in back in the studio.
Wow.
But we did the games.
Yeah.
We got them on. Sometimes the show just must go on. There was no way, being all the way down there, that we weren't getting those games back to Toledo somehow. I don't think I ever told that story in the air.
It's the first time I've heard it.
How about that?
Nice bucket.
Leaner for Zach Ellison. The second group are playing pretty well for the Flyers. 66-30 Lake.
Like the aggressiveness for Ellison, too. Pretty good handle. Also, that young fella, Mr. Little.
All the way, Jay, no good. Urias with a rebound. And they'll dribble this out, and that'll end it.
I'd like to thank everyone for coming out to tonight's game. Please take your time as you leave the field.
All right, the Lake Flyers with an easy win, 66-30 over the Bryan Golden Bears. Lake will go to 4-0 on the season. Bryan will drop to 1-5.
6 o'clock. Early today, there'll be a JV game at 2 o'clock, and the championship JV game will be at 4.
We'll take a timeout and come back and wrap up this night of high school basketball on the Toledo Sports Network and CW13. Back to wrap it up on the Toledo Sports Network and CW13. Norm Waymer along with Mike Bauman. Lake Flyers, a pretty easy win over the Bryan Golden Bears, and they got the defense ratcheted up. They went on that big run early, had the big first quarter. It was pretty smooth sailing after that.
Absolutely, and it was just a case of experience versus inexperience tonight. Golden Bears lost a lot of talent from last year, a very good senior class in football and basketball. A lot of those guys were two sports stars, and you saw them coming into a well-oiled machine tonight in Lake at their house. And really defensively, I think what really impresses me about Lake and what people will see as we continue to do these games on Toledo Sports Network is the activity defensively from the guys on the players who don't have the basketball. There were several times tonight where we saw a steal from behind or a steal from the side, and that is the difficulty when you face Lake's defense. Is they're not the biggest team in the world, but they communicate very effectively off the ball.
You know, we keep thinking down the road too. Lake, Rossford, but battling over the title in the league. They're going to do it again. They'll meet twice, and it will be front and center for it.
Yeah, and the interesting thing is, too, when you look at Rossford, as we've seen, the size that they have inside, and it's always fun when you do games where you see the size going up against sort of the small ball like Lake does, and the speed. Now, Rossford can get out and run, but how is their size inside going to fare against Lake? Will they be able to cover Lake shooters? Those are all things that are going to be really fun to watch. They were great games last year, and they're going to be great games again this year.
And in the first game, good for Maumee to get a win, get off the schneid, trail by a point going into the fourth quarter, had a big fourth quarter.
Absolutely, and I think teams a lot, you'll see embody the personalities of their coaches, and Coach Sheridan always keeps it calm, cool, and collected. He's been there for 7 years. Those guys played Scott heading into it, a very athletic team. They weathered the storm, took care of the basketball, got inside, and really did something I've never really seen anybody do, which is pretty much shut down Austin Adams offensively. That's not an easy thing to do. Austin still had a pretty good game on the boards, but offensively he really struggled, and it was because of the defense of the Maumee Panthers. So it's going to be a fun one.
Maumee, your winner in the first game, 39-26. Lake, your winner here in the nightcap as they meet for the finals of the holiday tournament. So that'll wrap it up here for all of us here. For Mike Bauman, I'm Norm Waymer. Your winners, Maumee and Lake, in the Lake Holiday Classic. You've been watching the Toledo Sports Network and CW13. We'll see you next time.